Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and it's a privilege to follow the member for Hasluck, and I thank her for her service to our nation. In commencing my remarks, I follow the member for Herbert in his contribution, and in my short time in this place, I've been inspired by his veteran story. He served in East Timor and Afghanistan, and he talks about his alive day, where he was very badly injured by an improvised explosive device, and his journey to recovery, and also his lifelong dedication to helping and supporting veterans in his community. In fact, he's the recipient of an Order of Australia medal for that service, and so I think we could have no finer two speakers than the members that I follow in making my remarks. It is an absolute privilege to represent the veteran community in the Monash electorate, and I've worked very closely with a number of RSLs and ex-service organisations, and I just want to acknowledge the outstanding contribution that they do. Ben Varland and Lynn Mizzen at the Warragul RSL, I had a great privilege of attending the West Gippsland's Veterans Welfare Centre opening just a couple of months ago, where Ben Varland, has really dedicated a huge amount of time to getting that up and running. In my work with veterans across the region, Christine Thompson, Lindsay Gurin, Kevin Walsh from Inverloch and Wonthaggi RSL, Steve Myers from Moe RSL, Richie Cunningham and Rod McNabb from Druin RSL. I acknowledge their service and look forward to continuing to work very closely with them in the pursuit of improving veteran welfare. I've got my colleague, the member for New England, who of course is a former Veterans Affairs Shadow Minister, and I just want to acknowledge 2 points he drove very strongly in that time, making the point that Veterans Affairs should be a cabinet portfolio. It shouldn't be subsumed by the broader defence portfolio. Veterans have a unique set of needs, and they deserve to have a strong voice around the cabinet table. I also acknowledge his work for in putting pressure on the government to progress the implementation of the Veterans Royal Commission findings and recommendations. I represent a large number of constituents in Monash who have previously served, 3,560 constituents in fact, and as of September last year we had 1,761 DVA clients in my electorate, 1,294 veterans and 474 family members or dependents, and every one of them relies on the system to work properly. I go to great lengths to assist constituents, whether it's with a Services Australia Centrelink issue or any other issue, but one of the greatest privileges is being able to pick up the phone and assist a veteran who has been waiting 18 months for assistance. And while that's a great privilege to be able to get something to happen quickly, it really shouldn't take that long. For the remainder of my time in this place, I want to make sure that as a parliament we do a better job to recognise the needs and expedite the support that veterans deserve for the sacrifice and the work that they've done in serving our country. I've met with members of nearly every RSL organisation across the Monash electorate, and the message that I hear consistently is that it's never been harder to access services through the Department of Veterans Affairs. And just in that short time of around 9 months now, I've had over 20 veterans come into my electorate office in Warragul seeking assistance, seeking support, because they cannot get the answers that they need, the support that they are seeking through the department. In that context, I want to touch on a couple of things in this bill which should be considered. The Coalition supports the passage of this legislation because it is necessary to progress from the Vets Reform Framework and ensure the transition to a single, simplified rehabilitation system from the 1st of July 2026. We supported the Royal Commission's recommendation to simplify veterans' compensation arrangements, because having multiple different acts of parliament is complicated enough for bureaucrats and lawyers and politicians. It is so much more so confusing and difficult for veterans and their families to try and navigate that. And so we support the simplification of having narrowed that down and making it more user-friendly. And the coalition, the Liberal Party, National Party as well, support the objective of a single framework under the MRCA, one that reduces duplication, improves consistency and makes entitlements easier to understand and access. One of the things that I've had particular feedback on from the West Gippsland Veterans Welfare Group and other veterans like Rod McNabb, who do an absolutely amazing job. Many of them are volunteers. The Drouin Veterans Welfare Centre were operating for 30 years and had a very small but dedicated army of volunteers painstakingly go through veterans' claims, but it is incredibly difficult to navigate. And I think, anywhere that we can reduce duplication, improve consistency and make entitlements easier to understand and access is a good thing. This bill contains largely technical and consequential amendments, but they do matter, and my colleague, the member for Herbert, has made a number of observations there where, while at a broad level the Liberal Party are supportive of this passage, I do think the observations that he's made matter and should be on the record. The technical amendments relate to the ability to clarify and review appeal rights, protect dependent compensation and ensure funeral benefits and education assistance continue seamlessly, preserve non-liability healthcare and establish clear transitional rules so that veterans are not caught in a legislative limbo, as is too often the case. However, this is now the second miscellaneous measures bill required to fix or complete the government's original reform package, which has taken way too long. They're not new policies, they're operational details that should have been resolved far earlier. And I say to veterans in the Monash electorate, you deserve far better. The coalition, the Liberal Party, the National Party, will also move an amendment to remove the mandatory notification of the Chief of the Defence Force when a serving member accesses non-liability healthcare or lodges a Veterans Review Board application. Care seeking should never feel like a career risk, and my colleague, the member for Herbert, spoke eloquently and empathetically about the balance between making sure if there is a serious issue such as a drug or alcohol dependency issue that the Defence Force is notified for safety and other deployment reasons, but not to the extent that really would act as a deterrent for members of our Defence Force seeking help, mental health assistance, and I think there's also some very sound privacy concerns that have been raised in this context. If we're serious about wellbeing and suicide prevention, we've got to be able to reduce those barriers. We will support this bill because veterans across Australia, particularly those in Monash, who I want to do my very best job for in this role, cannot afford delay. And so I support the bill, but also associate myself with the remarks of the member for Herbert and my other Liberal colleagues. I thank the chamber.